Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Dan. This morning I have with me Mr. Shammil Joseph Perera, President's Counsel, Attorney at Law. Shammil Perera has been appointed and took oaths as President's Counsel of Sri Lanka in 2012. He took oaths as an Attorney at Law in 1984. And he had been in active practice and engaged in the legal career for a continuous period of up to almost 33 years. Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Dan.
Morning, Dan. Morning.
So today we are going to discuss some important area, especially applying to the professionals at large, but also specifically to lawyers. We know that when it comes to the legal profession, people expect the lawyers to be of high professional well-being in order to represent the people, general public in this country, and to be quite trustworthy on their work. So my topic for today is professional ethics and responsibility towards the society. So let me ask you, Mr. Shammil, what do you mean by ethics?
Yes, Dan. Ethics has been defined in the Oxford Dictionary as the science of morals in human conduct. And also professional ethics has been defined as the group of standards relating to the activities of professionals. Now in this context, what is the need for ethics? I would like to quote a passage from the UK Monopolies Commission as set out in the Council of the Law Society, which said, within quotes, "The learned professions have not suddenly come into existence, but have developed over the centuries as a result of needs generated in all advancing societies. Before any profession can emerge, circumstances must exist in which the general public require protection. At first, the practitioner in each sphere operated independently. Gradually, they came to group together with the object of extending their knowledge by the sharing of skills, and they undertook the training of their successors. In order to retain their own repute and standing, and to retain public confidence in their abilities, these groups imposed upon themselves a discipline and adopted ethical rules and restrictions, sometimes to their own professional disadvantage, but always desiring to establish their propriety and competence in the eyes of the public." That is what I would term as ethics.
Now, when we talk about various professions, I understand that they all have to maintain certain professional ethics. But in Sri Lanka, over the recent past, we have seen professionals engaged in different types of activities, and the general public used to sometimes question whether they really have or whether they really maintain their professional ethics. I'm referring to the various strikes and other things that have taken place in this country, and general public have been put into various difficulties. So, referring to these things, are there different types of ethics?
Yes, Dan, there are different types of ethics. As far as the legal profession is concerned, there is a whole standard of rules set out in the Supreme Court rules. Then, as far as the medical profession is concerned, there is what is called the Hippocratic Oath, where one gives a solemn promise of solidarity with teachers and other physicians, a promise to do good and avoid evil towards patients, not to assist suicide or abortion, to leave surgery to surgeons, not to harm and especially not to seduce patients, then to maintain confidentiality and never to gossip. That is the medical profession. Then we have similar ethical rules. I won't go into detail or into constraints of time, but we have similar rules for the accountants, bankers, those in the marketing arena, architects, the Army, Navy and the Air Force, they have their own acts. And together with their acts, there are certain regulations under these acts which govern their code of conduct. Then we have, as far as the state employees are concerned, you have the establishment code which governs their conduct. Then a very important aspect is what is called business ethics. As Dan, you referred to a total dissipation in ethics. Now, business ethics is also very, very important. And the law specifically provides in section 160 of the Code of Intellectual Property Act, which says, any act or practice carried out or engaged in the course of industrial or commercial activities that is contrary to honest practices shall constitute an act of unfair competition. And these provisions apply independently of and in addition to other provisions of the Act protecting inventions, etc. So there is specific provision in our law for business ethics. And I might also refer to the fact that we have in Sri Lanka four major religions. Buddhism. Now in Buddhism we have the Panchasila, which has its 5 rules. Then we have in Hinduism the Vedas and the Upanishads, and also Lord Vishnu's famous discourse to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Then as far as the Muslims are concerned, we have the 5 principles of Islam and the articles of faith. And as far as the Christians are concerned, I myself am a Christian, we have the 10 commandments. So all 4 major religions have spelt out rules of conduct for their own flock.
Yes. So what I really understand is that ethics is connected with ethics are connected with discipline and well-being in one's not only the profession but also in their general life. So why is practice of ethics so important, when could be for professional conduct or for any other as a human being? So why is practice of ethics so important?
Yeah, it is important, Dan, for the reason, if I might start with the quotation by Justice Veeramantri, where he said, law is like a great ark on which a man may set his foot and be safe. Now, you can be so assured of safety only if the legal profession practices their ethics to the letter. Now, in that context, I would like to refer to the fact that a lawyer is a representative of the clients engaged to assist and defend and protect their rights and liberties. He is a trusted advisor, an officer of the legal system having special responsibility for the quality of justice. More than anything else, he is an upright citizen attempting to earn a satisfactory living. And it is our duty as lawyers to safeguard our clients within the limits on which we are called to do so. And the whole edifice of this legal system would collapse if this country does not adhere to the ethics of each profession. Now, for instance, Dan, there is, even in other spheres, within a patient and a doctor, the patient would tell the doctor various things about his personal life. I'm giving you an example. Now, if the doctor were to go outside his ethical norms and disclose these things to outsiders, the personal life of that patient can be ruined or even destroyed. Even a banker or customer, there are certain rules governing the banker and the customer relationship. Those are ethical as well as legal rules. Then we have other professionals who also are in law obliged to follow their code of conduct, their ethical code of conduct.
This morning in Coffee with Dan, I have Mr. Shammil Joseph Perera, who is the President's Counsel, who holds a Bachelor of Laws degree from University of Colombo, and also he's qualified as a solicitor for England and Wales. Mr. Shammil Joseph Perera is a senior counsel in law who has acquired broad expertise and has extensive practice in legal spheres of company law, labor disputes, industrial law, property law, intellectual property law, financial laws, administrative law, insurance laws, and so forth. And he's also specialized in commercial arbitration. And he's a leading character when it comes to the maintaining of professional ethics of lawyers. Today we are discussing about professional ethics and responsibility towards the society. And turning back to our discussion, Mr. Perera, we know that public expect a lot from the profession, especially when it comes to their behavior and the practice of their profession. May it be lawyers, may it be law doctors, it doesn't matter as long as they execute and deliver the best of their ability. So, what are the ethics applicable to the legal profession in particular?
Yes, thank you, Dan. Now, there are a number of rules that are spelled out in the Supreme Court rules as far as the ethics for the legal profession is concerned. I will just highlight a few of them which I think are very, very important. Owing to time constraints, I can't go into the whole gamut of this. Some of the most important ones are: an attorney at law shall not act for any party or person in professional matters in which the said attorney at law has a personal interest, unless after making full disclosure of the said interest to the client, and after obtaining a declaration in writing that the client has no objection to the attorney at law acting for him. Also, an attorney at law shall not appear or advise in any professional matter which in his opinion would be in conflict with the interest of any other client in such or connected professional matter. Then also, where a conflict arises between the interests of two or more clients for which the attorney at law is acting, the attorney at law shall cease to act for all of his said clients unless he decides that he can, without any professional impropriety or embarrassment to himself, appear for any one or more of such clients, provided such client or clients agree that he might so appear. An attorney at law shall not accept any professional matter which may, in his opinion, embarrass him by reason of his holding any office or appointment. And it goes on. There are a number of matters, a number of rules governing the legal profession. Further, an attorney at law shall keep in strict confidence all information, whether oral or documentary, acquired by him from or on behalf of his clients in any matter in respect of and concerning the business and affairs of his client. An attorney at law, however, may disclose such information if it is expressly or impliedly authorized by his client in writing, or in the event of the death of his client by the legal representative of the client. Even then, he should be careful to disclose only such information as is necessary in the circumstances and no more. And also, an attorney at law shall not, under any circumstances, by himself or through another, directly or indirectly, resort to the practice of touting. Then, as far as the relationship with court is concerned, an attorney at law owes a duty to court, tribunal or other institution created for the administration of justice before which he appears to assist in the proper administration of justice without interfering with the independence of the bar, and also as far as his relationship with other members of the profession are concerned, an attorney at law shall act with all courtesy, respect and fairness towards his fellow members in all professional matters. Those are a few of the more important rules as far as the attorneys at law are concerned, as spelled out in the rule book. In addition to that, then, there are certain unwritten rules. Now, I myself was working under Mr. Gabriel Sethukavala, a very senior President's Counsel, and he went out of his way to teach us, his juniors, the unwritten rules of the legal profession, the ethical rules. For instance, a few examples. When you are a President's Counsel, we find in court sometimes the courtrooms are filled. There is no space. And we were told that if you are occupying a chair and you find a very senior lawyer or a President's Counsel coming into court, it is our duty to offer that seat to him. I'm sad and sorry to say that this does not happen in many courthouses these days. And also, one has to be extremely courteous when dealing with other lawyers. Extremely courteous. That courtesy too is not there. Or rather, I wouldn't say not there, but it is not practiced to the extent it was a few years ago. Then if a lawyer moves a case out on his personal grounds, there is a certain obligation on the opposing counsel not to move for costs. These are unwritten rules, which unfortunately sometimes in the present context is breached. So I would think that it is a duty on the seniors, the senior members of the profession, to educate their juniors, because those juniors will one day be seniors. So to set the benchmark high so that others would follow them.
However, during the recent times, we also saw much criticism level against lawyers in certain circumstances, even by some politicians, and now one or two cases are still lying in court regarding these things as contempt of court. So what are your views on the ethics of legal profession, and how do you view the present situation?
Yes, Dan. I would think, I wouldn't want to generalize only the legal profession, but generally there is a decline in the standard of ethics in all professions. If you look at the medical profession, there is a decline. As far as the legal profession is concerned, sadly, there is a great decline. If this were to continue in any profession, not only the legal profession, in any profession, public confidence in that profession will be eroded. There are moves now to stem this erosion, and I think those are very, very salutary moves. Especially in the Bar Association, we have taken steps to stem this tide, and I hope that that will continue in the future.
So, Mr. Perera, you being the chairman of the Ethics Committee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, as I understand, do you think these rules on ethics are being followed by the general membership?
Generally, the rules are followed, Dan, generally, but there are a number of breaches of the ethical norms that are spelled out. And I must say, I have with me 3 other lawyers of very high standing, high integrity. And we have sent out the message that we are here in the Ethics Committee to see that the ethics of the Bar Association are revived. We spend almost 2 Saturdays a month hearing complaints by lawyers against other lawyers, by general members of the public against lawyers. And for the last year, I think we must have gone through almost close to about 60 or 75 cases. And our view, the view of the present ethics committee, is zero tolerance. Zero tolerance as far as the ethical norms are concerned. So we hope that this trend will continue in the future, and that I'm also happy to note that the president of the Bar Association has given us a free hand to look into all these complaints, and however high the accused or the respondent is, we have no problem in dealing with any complaint against that lawyer or that person.
This is the other point that I wanted to touch upon. Especially lawyers give oath as an attorney at law in the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka, the apex body of the supreme judiciary in this country. And when they give the oath, they undertake to follow the professional ethics and the well-being, to protect the well-being of the profession as a whole. So what are the steps that the committee has taken during the past years, and you being the chairman of the ethics committee, what steps have you taken to minimize these kinds of breach of ethics?
Yes, Dan. As I indicated earlier, we go into each complaint. Nobody can influence us. We go into each complaint. We take our own time on the matter. We give a chance to both parties to air their views, and then we will decide whether there is really a breach of ethics, or whether it's a frivolous complaint. And as I also indicated to you, zero tolerance is our norm. We won't tolerate any breach of ethics.
And we know that judiciary plays the most important role in determining justice or delivering justice in the country. And also in the recent past, we saw several unfavorable, quite heart-filling situations occurring to their members, some of their members. But as a matter of fact, they maintain a very good discipline and professional ethics among themselves in the judiciary in order to protect the judiciary as a whole. So what are your views on ethics as far as the judiciary is concerned?
Yes, Dan. As far as the judiciary is concerned, it is unfortunate, very unfortunate, that certain judges of the apex court have gone on to criticize their own judgments, which is very unfortunate, because what happens then is that one unfair remark by one judge can bring the entire judiciary into disrepute. A very, very serious matter, because the public puts great trust in our judges, and this trust should never be abused. And also, as far as the judges are concerned, we expect our judiciary, both the minor judiciary as well as the judges in the apex court, to be 100% neutral, to be impartial, to be attentive to the submissions made, and to exercise great patience. Now, Lord Denning, a famous judge in the United Kingdom, said, one thing a judge must never do, he must never lose his temper. And I would think that would stand for all the members of the judiciary. They must exercise an atmosphere of calm and dignity, and there must be acceptable commands from the bench. And I'm very happy to note that the present Apex Court follows this to the letter.
Let me ask you finally, now people or the general public and the litigants expect utmost confidence in the bar as well as the judiciary. So how can the lawyers promote these professional ethics for the future society of this country?
Yes, then it is our duty, our bounden duty, to follow the ethics of the profession to the letter. Coupled with ethics is what is known as honesty. Now, there is a policy. There is a famous phrase which says, honesty is the best policy. But as far as I am concerned, then, honesty is not a policy. It is a duty. It is a duty which we as lawyers owe to our clients, owe to our opposing counsel, owe to court, owe to our own selves, and also what we owe to the God whom we profess. This honesty is not something that can be bought. It must be inborn, and one must practice honesty to the letter. As a Christian, I would say, honesty is the first chapter in the book of wisdom in the Bible. And I would give a message to all members of the legal profession. If you hope to advance in your legal career, then you must be honest. Honest to an extent that it does not really matter whether you win or lose a case. What matters at the end of the day is how you live your life. Because when you are called to the great beyond, then it will really not matter how much of money you have amassed, how many cases you have won, but how you lived your life on earth. Thank you, Dan.
Actually, though it's a message to the lawyers, this directly affect the general public, the people of this country, in order to keep faith in the legal profession, on the lawyers, and then also on the judiciary. So I was joined this morning in Coffee with Dan, Mr. Shammil Joseph Perera, a former student of St. Joseph's College, Colombo. He is an attorney at law and also a President's Counsel. He took his oaths in 1984. He's a past graduate in Bachelor of Laws from University of Colombo and a solicitor of England and Wales. Thank you very much, Mr. Shammil Perera, for joining in today's Coffee with Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
So let's meet with another Coffee with Dan tomorrow morning. Thank you and